started on our city council candidate forum this juncture. Everyone, each council member will get one 3-minute introduction, followed by a 1-minute question, and then each person will get a chance to answer that question. So we'll go down the lines in that capacity. Does that make sense? And make sure and share with us when you're giving your introduction, your name as well as the place that you are for. So we have place 1, place 3, and place 5. But make sure that you give an introduction to that capacity. All right, let me pass this. This is your 3-minute introduction.
Good evening. My name is Shirley Daniels. I am a candidate for City Council Place 1. This is not my first rodeo in politics. I've been a community organizer for many candidates from state, national, and local level. I have been through the storm and the rain. I have seen candidates do well, and I've seen them fail. My motto is the word VOTE. It can be critical for any politician. I know people don't like for you to use that word. I'm not a politician, but anytime you take the oath of office, you are a politician. You are required to have ethics. You are required to be honest, and you are required to have morals. I want to say, when I am elected, your vote, let me back up, your vote speaks for your character. When you vote, people should be able to know without you even voting what you stand for. If you're going to stand for honesty, they should know before you vote. If you're going to stand for the will of the people, they should know before you vote. So therefore, when you vote, you cannot say, I support the people, when you vote against the people. And that's what has happened in this community. I've been to many homes during my candidacy, and they are very dissatisfied because of what? The word vote, and who voted for what particular issue. So you can rest assured, Shirley Daniels will support the will of the people. Shirley Daniels is going to the community and ask, what do you want? Do you want this development in your community? Do you want me to vote to bring on big developments in your community that you pay taxes for? And that will lower your tax rate. Will lower your property rate. Shirley Daniels will ask the citizens of this community, if you don't want it, tell me, and I won't vote for it. Thank you.
How you guys doing today? I'm feeling fantastic. I love Cedar Hill, and I love speaking into a microphone. I just wanted to start off by saying the definition, or my definition of leadership, is having a vision and bringing everyone to that vision through influence. The key word in this definition is vision. And so Cedar Hill has a vision. Our vision is we envision Cedar Hill as a premier city that retains its distinctive character, where families and businesses flourish in a safe and green environment. Now, the key word in that vision statement is flourish. So how do we flourish? What's the tool that we use to flourish? Well, one of the tools that we can use is our comprehensive plan. Our comprehensive plan includes our thoroughfare plan, our land uses, the way we use our property, our track parks and trails. This comprehensive plan is developed by, as my opponent said, the people. We developed a comprehensive plan by the will of the people, through committees, the Planning and Zoning Commission, and staff on planning and zoning. And so, and the way we enforce that comprehensive plan is through our zoning ordinances. You know, my experience as a mechanical engineer, MBA, spans 22 years. And during that time, I've planned, installed multi-million-dollar CapEx projects for Fortune 500 companies. My wife and I love this city. We've been married 22 years, have a 26-year-old daughter. We absolutely love the city. We want to do what's best with the city, for the city, but we want to do it in compliance with the law and our processes. We don't make decisions based on mob rule. We have strict processes that we follow so that everybody benefits in our city. Not just a few people, but the whole city. And you want a council member that's cognizant of how to make decisions that are beneficial for everyone. And I'm that guy, Mike Lewis. Have a great day.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Valerie Banks, and I am running for Cedar Hill City Council, Place 3. I have been a resident of Cedar Hill for a long time. I have served this community for over 20 years, and I currently serve on the Community Development Board, which I've enjoyed over the last 10 years or so. I was former president of Cedar Hill ISD, and I'm happy to say that during my term there, I was a champion for kids on every level. And one of the programs that I pushed for was breakfast in the classroom. And I'm happy to say that that program still exists today. I'm really proud of that. I am running on honesty, integrity, and transparency. Because as leaders, we all are held to a higher standard. And we must never forget who we serve. I believe in term limits because any citizen in this community that has a desire to serve should have the opportunity to do so. That way, we continue to stay current, we stay fresh, and we stay on trend. But it also allows us to grow our own within our own community. That's important. Keeping our community clean and safe, of course, is always a top priority. I will be at the forefront of making sure that our police and fire always have the tools that they need in order to protect us, to keep us safe, as well as themselves. Protecting our green space is extremely important to me. As your councilwoman, I will work with our economic development and our board, our council, to make sure that any developers coming into this community, that it is the right fit for our citizens. I am running because I want to build bridges, not walls. I will be open and informative, but most of all, I will do my best to work on your behalf. I don't see us as an east side or a west side. I see us as one Cedar Hill. And as your elected official, I will work on your behalf. But most of all, I need you to hold me accountable for what it is that I do for you. The stakes are too high, Cedar Hill.
Time.
We cannot stay home for this election. Thank you.
Good evening. I want to say thank you to the Chamber for putting this event on. My name is Alan Sims. I am a 19-year homeowner in Cedar Hill. I have been married to that beautiful woman sitting up front, Gail Sims, for 46 years. We have 4 adult children and 8 grandchildren. Love it. As far as the education, I have a master's degree from the University of Kansas. It's the #1 ranked MPA program in the country. They're very, very selective about the number of students they let in, and I was very fortunate to be one of those. As far as work experience, I have 32 years in city management, 15 years as city manager of Cedar Hill. Every department in the city reported to me. And I'm very, very fortunate as all of our funds together, the budget totaled $85 to $90 million. I was responsible for managing $85 to a $90 million budget. One of the things I'm most proud about is that the bond rating agencies praised the strong financial management of the city when I was there. And they gave us 3 bond rating upgrades, which is like an increase in your credit score. And when that happens, that lowers your cost of business. So there are a lot of things that happen, but that's one I'm very, very proud of. When an outside independent agency evaluates you and tells you you're doing a great job, that means a lot. One of the things I want to talk about is my council priorities. #1, and I'm very, very fortunate that I have an opponent because it's given me an opportunity to go all over the Cedar Hill, north, south, east, and west, and listen to citizens. And the #1 thing that I've heard is public safety. And very consistent, when I was a city manager, I submitted 15 budgets to the city council, and there was a few council members here, and my #1 priority that was submitted to the council was public safety. That's what I heard from the citizens, and that's my #1 priority. Public safety, keeping the city safe, police and fire. You talk to the police officers and you talk to the firefighters, and they ask them, what did that guy do? And they'll tell them I was a strong supporter and helped build the professional police and fire departments that we have today. Secondly, strong neighborhoods. There's a correlation between strong neighborhoods and quality of life, and I want to do everything. I think there's more that we can do to strengthen our neighborhoods. Third, quality economic development. I want to focus on commercial office space for architects, engineers, people in the medical profession, attorneys. Professional office space will make a difference in this city. That's my 3rd priority. #4 is educational excellence. I'm going to tell you, I hear so much criticism, but one of the things I believe this community can do is come together and rally around the school district, and we can have an excellent school district. And lastly, preservation of green space. I'm Alan Sims. I'm running because there's a lot of inexperience on the council, and no one in this room knows more about this operations than I do.
Good morning, Cedar Hill. My name is Gregory Glover, and I have been a resident of Cedar Hill now for over 10 years. I've been in Cedar Hill for 15 years. I'm a servant leader. I'm here to serve the people. I started a while ago when it was placed on my heart to give back. I've been blessed with many things in my life, and it's always been on my heart to be a servant leader. So I got involved. I decided to become a member of my become the president of my HOA, and from that we were able to do so many things, and ours is a voluntary HOA, so we don't have a mandatory HOA. From there I decided I wanted to do more, and I looked at the water bill one day, and there was an application in there saying you can join one of the city boards. From that point I filled out my application, and I became a member of the Beautification and Environmental Sustainability Board. I know that's a long word, so we called it the BEST Board. I've been the chairman of the BEST Board for the past 5 years, and in my capacity, we've increased our household hazardous waste collection from twice a year to 4 times a year. We've had many projects across the city, and we represent you, and that's been my pleasure. From that point on, in 2017, I was asked to be the chairman of the 2017 bond committee. And that's important because that secured the funding for our new library, the funding for our parks, funding for infrastructure, and the funding for the Virginia Weaver Park and for our new pool. That was done without an increase in our tax rate, and that was very important. I'm also an innovator, a problem solver, and a leader. Some people are going to say that the library is too big. It's not too big. It's going to exceed, when the library is completed, it's going to extend, it's going to not just meet the needs of the community, it's going to meet the needs of the community in 10 years from now. My goal, if you elect me as a city council member, is to serve and represent you. That's my desire. I believe we need leaders who listen, who hear us, and reply back. I've been working on your behalf with city members and the city staff. I know that there are issues that affect many of us, and I just didn't start to be a leader at the beginning of the application period for this election. I've been a committed leader, a servant leader in the community. I've been a successful corporate sales for the past 20 years, and I have the wealth and experience to serve you. So I'm going to ask that if you do one thing today, that you vote for me for City Council for Place 5 in Cedar Hill. Thank you.
Good evening, Cedar Hill. My name is Gregory Gonzalez, and I'm running for City Council Place 5. This is my first rodeo, and I would like to take it into the microphone. I would like to thank the Chamber for putting this together. I would like to thank you guys for coming out and getting informed. And I guess at a later time, I would like to thank the people watching on Facebook. I decided to run because I wanted to further diversify and address the lack of Latinos on the City Council. And I believe that City Council should be as diversified as the city it represents. As a city councilman, I would represent the city and serve all the citizens of the city, from the oldest to the youngest. I want to continue to build this city. I want to continue to build this city economically. I want to continue to build economically development the city responsibly, as people's priority for my votes, for my decisions and my ideas. I want to continue to build. I want to continue to support and assist our first responders in keeping the city safe. I want to grow the police department and fire and rescue as our city grows. I want to work with code compliance to improve the communication and build relationships with the communities they serve. As a code compliance officer for the city of Dallas for 13 years, I have learned to serve the citizens. As a civil servant, I've learned to listen, to empathize, and to develop great customer service. I've learned to build relationships with communities to better assist and resolve their needs. As the city employee, I've learned to understand and interpret the ordinances that are set forth by the city. I've learned to use the city services departments to better assist citizens in resolving the issues that I can through code compliance. Also, as a city employee, I always strive to make an ethical and just decisions. If I don't make an ethical or just decision, that reflects poorly on me, and it also reflects poorly on the city of Dallas, because that's who I represent. So on May 4th, I, Gregory Gonzalez, ask you guys to vote for me to better serve, to improve, and better serve Cedar Hill. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I am Kim Rimmer. I am running for Place 5 on the City Council. I want to share with you just briefly. I've gotten this down to 30 seconds so that I'm out there walking and talking to people, I can spend time listening. I am running because, number one, I love God, and I honor God. And because I love God, I love people. I've served for the last 6 years on the Neighborhood Advisory Board. It's been my honor and my pleasure to serve neighborhoods and to serve the council in helping council achieve their goals for neighborhoods. So that's primarily why I want to run. I want to take what I've learned by sitting on the Neighborhood Advisory Board and utilize it to represent the rest of the city by sitting on council. It would be remiss of me to say I'm going to promise you this, promise you that. because I'm one voice on a panel of 7. But I know what it takes to cooperate, to coordinate, to collaborate, and to push until you get the best outcome, not for me, not for anybody else on the board, but for the citizens of this city. And that's my agenda. People ask me all the time when I'm out there walking, what's your agenda? My only agenda is the city of Cedar Hill. We need clean, safe neighborhoods. We need safe neighborhoods because we're going to support our police and our firemen. We have great fire department, great police department. We need to continue to support them. I want to maintain the 20% green space our former city councils have already set aside. And I think our biggest challenge here is maintaining our small town feel while still attracting businesses. And we want businesses and people that will come here to live, work, and play, and stay in Cedar Hill. And that's just a little bit of what I'm about. I just hope that I can earn your trust. I hope I can earn your support. And I thank you very much for being here this evening.
We're going to go back over here. We'll start with the 1-minute questions. And each person will get a question. And once you give your 1-minute question, then pass it down. And everybody's going to answer that same question. All right, question number 1 is, what is more important to our city right now? Building new homes and commercial space, or rehabbing, expanding, or better utilizing our existing homes and storefronts? Read it one more time. What is more important to our city right now? Building new homes or commercial spaces? Building new homes and commercial space, or rehabbing, expanding, and better utilizing our existing homes and storefronts?
Okay, what the most important issue is commercial development in the neighborhoods. That is the most important issue in Cedar Hill right now. Development that's being infringed upon neighborhoods. So I would say I'm not against development, but when it infringes upon neighborhoods, such as environmental issues, and I must say, this entire city knows that Fuel City has caused a big uproar in 3 neighborhoods: Shady Brook, Wooded Estates, and everything, okay? So.
Randall, can you repeat?
I'll repeat the question, yes. The question is, what is more important for our city now? Turn off. There you go. What is more important for our city right now? Building new homes and commercial space, or rehabbing, expanding, or better utilizing our existing homes and storefronts?
You know, that's an interesting question. I don't think that's an either-or question. I believe that commercial and residential, we can strike a very perfect balance between those two. The question is kind of a false dichotomy in saying it's either commercial or residential or storefronts. You know, we have to, as a city council, we have to focus on a balance. Look at our comprehensive plan and understand exactly what it is we want in our city. How do you want your city? What kind of city do you want to live in? And then we develop a comprehensive plan to reflect that, and then have city ordinances that enforce it.
Would you like me to read it again?
I would say the most important would be all of the above. We need to be fiscally responsible first and choose those programs that we can get the most bang for our buck. Now, I am of the belief that we should look at our existing structures in order to see what we can do in order to rehab those. That's our first fresh water that we should run to. Secondly, to bring in the right mix of business and commercial, the right mix of commercial and housing is also important to our community. But we have to sit down as a group, as a community, to determine what will be the best fit for our community. I don't want to say that I will choose one over the other, because it is something that needs to be looked at from a 30,000-foot view and not from the ground level, to make sure that we're doing the right thing for this community. Thank you.
Thank you. So, as I understood the question, you have to make a choice.
Well, yeah.
So if I had to make a choice, I would choose the commercial development. Let me explain why. One of my priorities, as I said earlier, commercial office space for architects, engineers, accountants, attorneys, people in the medical profession, technology profession, finance profession. That commercial office space will allow the city to shift the tax burden away from residential onto commercial. And at some point, that will help us to lower the taxes. And also, commercial office space will help us to give in higher quality restaurants. I've heard from a lot of residents, why can't we get the nicer restaurants? Once we prioritize commercial office development and increase our daytime population, you'll see a shift into the tax base will shift away from residential onto commercial, and we'll see higher restaurants. Thank you.
Wow. I think by the time it gets to our table, all the options have been taken. I think the way I would go with this is that I think there are opportunities. I think everyone is right. We're a city, we're a diverse city. We shouldn't have to choose. But let's get creative here. I know that there are people in our neighborhoods who want to rehab, and that we do and have great ideas. So I would be a champion and advocate for finding funding sources so that we can build into our community. So if there are a group of homeowners who want to purchase a property and renovate that property and maybe make it a home where people, more affordable housing, or we have community members who want to purchase and rehab a commercial structure, let's see if we can have some funding so that we can build into our own community by ourselves.
I would start utilizing the buildings that we do have that are empty. I don't want to get to a point where we have too many empty buildings, commercial buildings. But at the same time, if an opportunity came and a business wanted to come to Cedar Hill that we wanted or we needed, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to them building a building. As far as the residential houses, I've walked these neighborhoods here for the last couple of months, and it's, as a code compliance officer, I see that we do need to start rehabbing these houses, especially the older ones, especially the ones that aren't made out of brick, the ones that are made out of wood. They have rotted wood. I see the roofs need help. I would like, if we don't have one, to start a program where we would help some of these poorer families that have houses that need to be repaired.
Okay, this is a loaded question, but I understand the heart that this question came from, because I drive around our city and I go, what could go there? What could go there? Why are there so many empty spaces? What can we put there? But I also have a vision that sometimes we need to build things, commercial spaces, for big business to come in. And I'm not saying just big business. Sometimes businesses need their own space, and I get that. But my first priority is like, what can we put in something that's already building? Okay, what we have doesn't meet your needs, then how can you build this? Because once we get the commercial building going, we've got the neighborhoods. The neighborhoods are here, there's plenty to build on, and I think that's my heart as well. It's like, let's utilize what we have. If we need more, we can build more, and the housing will come. Thank you.
Microphone, and then we're going to come back this direction.
Okay, I get to go first.
Rotate back and forth. Okay, next question. If you were to receive a $1 million grant to use for the city or school any way you wanted, what would you use it for and why?
Oh my goodness. I have to use it city or school? Can I split it up and use city and school?
Anyway.
Anyway, you know, $1 million grant, I don't know what I'd do with $1 million. But it certainly wouldn't be up to me. It would be up to a panel, our council, to decide where would that money be better spent for our citizens, for our city? What are the needs? Where can it go? And that's really, that's what I have to say.
If we received $1 million, I would like to distribute it to as many projects as we possibly could, not just to one project and spend it all at one time. Like I said, I've walked through these streets for the past 2 months, and there's some older neighborhoods that need street repairs. And also, I've also noticed that some of our culverts need to be dug up again. The water's not flowing. We get a lot of standing water. So all those little things that affect neighborhoods would be best used to improve the quality of life in our neighborhoods. Thank you.
What I would do is invest that $1 million so that we're always receiving an investment on it, so for a return on it, so it remains something that we can pull from. And I would utilize that for our small businesses. There's so many homeowners, so many people that I've talked to when I've been walking the streets that have some great ideas. And we can utilize that to reinvest into our community. We have a lot of entrepreneurs in Cedarville who have great ideas, but they just need some seed money. So we can utilize that for small businesses, home-based businesses, and keep that money within Cedar Hill. And if we invest it and use the returns, it'll be something that we can use in perpetuity. Thank you.
So if I had $1 million, I would split the money and it would go, half of it would go to the school district. And let me explain why. When I was city manager, we would work very hard to bring in business, and then we had a very, very successful business decide to come in. When they came in, they heard a report about the school district, and they decided not to come to Cedar Hill. So the school district is extremely critical, and I would do everything I could to strengthen that school district. But the other side, the other half of the money, I would go to public safety. And that is just, look, you can have the greatest parks, you can have the greatest shopping centers. I grew up in a place that had great shopping centers, but when they let the public safety component suffer, that shopping center suffered, the park suffered. In Kansas City, there's a Swope Park. It's one of the most beautiful parks, but nobody goes there because of the safety issue. So I would spend half the money for the school district and the other half of it for public safety. Thank you.
I would recommend that we utilize those funds in order to help our existing entrepreneurs, our local businesses. And what I would help them with is giving them a facelift on their storefronts. I think if we invest back into our community, we get more. When people know that they can walk into a building that they feel good about, people spend money. So for me, I would work to be as conservative as I could, but I would also look at how we can dispense this money in order that our local businesses can continue to thrive, and that we do everything we can to enhance those businesses in order to fit our mission and vision, and that's to help businesses flourish in our community. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question?
If you were to receive a $1 million grant, make sure I get it exactly correct. If you were to receive a $1 million grant to use for the city or school any way that you wanted, what would you do with it and why?
Well, I think the first thing is $1 million
$1 in city government, I think most of you guys know, it probably won't go too far. So what I would do is put together a committee to investigate how best to spend the money. As my opponent said, the will of the people. So how will the people spend the money? And that's what I would do. I wouldn't allow that to be my decision solely. I would allow that to be based on the committee's recommendation.
Let me ask, how many of you all are 65 and older in here? Let me see your hand. If I had $1 million, I would give the senior citizens a tax exempt in Cedar Hill. Because we get zero tax exempt from the city. So if I had $1 million, our tax would be low. Seniors, thank you.
Michael, the next question is for you. And that question is, what is your view of the city center plan and why?
The city center plan, as I mentioned earlier about the comprehensive plan, the city center development plan is a component of our comprehensive plan. That city center development plan was, as my opponent said, was developed by the will of the people. So it was a bunch of people in our community that sat down and determined exactly what it was we wanted our city to look like, and then developed ordinances to enforce what our comprehensive plan needed to look like. So I'm in support of getting input from our community to develop our comprehensive plan.
Unfortunately, I was not at the table when it came to the city center design. For me, I would have to review the plan personally before I could make a recommendation on what is the best fit or best need for the city. Working with 6 other individuals, it can be challenging, but I believe that the city center design, it has certain benefits. Personally, I would like to review it so that I can determine that it really is a true fit for this community, or if there are enhancements that need to be made in order to affect our vision of what we want in Cedar Hill. So I would work with you, the people of our city, as well as our council in order to affect and redesign any change that needed to take place if necessary.
So I would support the city center plan, and let me explain why. That plan is being developed by you citizens, the citizens of Cedar Hill, for over 20 years. It is your plan. And so it wasn't something that city council developed, but it was developed by citizens for over 20-something years. And so if you're gonna be responsive to the citizens and they tell you what they want, then I think as elected officials, we ought to respond to that. But the other thing that part of the city center plan is to have the downtown be this mini Bishop Arts District. And some of you have gone there and have seen Bishop Arts District, and it's this walkable place, and a lot of people, and there's a lot of interest in that. And so I support that, because I would love to, I've gone to the Bishop Arts District, I would love to go there in my own backyard and have nice restaurants and nice entertainment venues. And so it's been developed by the citizens, it was created by the citizens. I would support it, and I like what's being proposed. Thank you.
I am in support of the city center plan, but the great thing about it is it's a plan, and it should remain fluid. Something that we as a city can build on and elaborate as we go forward, because we change as a city. The things we did 5 years ago are not the things we're doing now. So the plan, as with any plan, needs to be updated. But one key component is the communication. We really need to be able to communicate this plan to every citizen, so that when you say city center plan, half of the community doesn't even know what you're talking about. So we really need to utilize social media and other platforms so that when we have ideas like this, we can communicate them so everyone is on the same page and we all know what we're talking about. Thank you.
Mr. Glover took my answer, but the plan, I support the plan, but like you said, it was a plan that was developed 20 years ago. We may not even have some of those citizens here at Cedar Hill anymore. So if I get elected, I would like to review those plans. I would like to make any changes that may be necessary or that may not be in our needs anymore. But I would like to maybe revisit the plan with the citizens and see if there's any changes that has changed with you guys.
I too support the city center plan, but I agree with Mr. Glover and Mr. Gonzalez. It's a plan. Nothing of that is carved in stone. I think we do need to be fluid. I think we do need to review what's good for our citizens. But the plan is in keeping with our vision of Cedar Hill as a premier city, as a place where people live, work, and play. And I agree with Mr. Sims. I want you to stay here and play. I want you to spend your money in Cedar Hill. Better yet, I want people from Duncanville and DeSoto and Midlothian to come here and spend their money here in Cedar Hill. But that doesn't mean the plan is carved in stone. That means that we need to work together as citizens. The plan's available on the website for anybody that wants to see it. Just go to the website and look. Better yet, talk to city staff. And you can go to Greg Porter and he'll talk your ear off. You know, it's about communication and it's about relationships.
Oh, you're right. I'm so sorry.
I must say that the city plan was a good plan, but now we have a cloud over our city based on that city plan. And it's have deterred to be something very negative from the citizens of Cedar Hill. How can I say this? Your vote is so critical. And we are the United States laughingstock, basically, of what's going on in Cedar Hill behind that city plan. And it really hurts me to my heart because it could have been a great plan if it had been done right. If the board, the city council board, would have taken the right steps. Thank you.
Victor? Okay. Ready? Okay, next question is, how would you improve infrastructure and transportation, specifically traffic congestion within the city?
Well, that's a hard one. Well, I mean, as new to city council, I would just have to review all the plans that we have for our infrastructure, the light signals. I mean, I couldn't give you to be honest, I couldn't give you a definite answer because I don't look at these things every day. I don't look at the infrastructure like the city council does. I know some of these streets need help, and I know some of these lights, they do need to be repaired or they need to be installed. But for me to give you an answer, a definite answer, it would just be speaking out of, I guess, political talk.
you repeat the question?
Question is, how would you improve infrastructure and transportation, specifically dealing with traffic congestion?
One thing I would do to improve traffic congestion is to conduct multiple traffic studies. We're growing as a community. We have new entities in our community. We have the Newman Charter School, which has affected our traffic flow. And we have also become a generation of wanting to be somewhere very quickly. So one thing I would do is that we would put signs up saying it takes 5 minutes to get from Beltline to the other side of Cedar Hill, to set an expectation for us, because we have to communicate with our residents. If I know that it's going to take 15 minutes, I might be more satiated as opposed to getting angry. If I see that it's going to take 20 minutes, I can take a shortcut and go in a different direction. But I think the key is communicating to our residents and developing a traffic study to see if we do need to change the signs and augment how traffic flows around Cedar Hill. Thank you.
Thank you. I do agree with Mr. Glover. He mentioned something about traffic studies, and I think that's very important. When my wife and I were on the way over here, we were heading up the exit to head to our belt line, and it was backed up. And one of the things that we noticed is there was a need for a right turn lane there at Beltline and Highway 67. So one of the things I would do is just do those traffic studies to look at where we need to put in extra right turn lanes to increase the flow of traffic. There's one thing that I felt very good about is when I was with the city, when we were the city manager, we set aside money every year in a street construction fund, so we would have dollars available for these smaller projects. The big projects, the road improvements, they take several $1 million, but we set aside a certain amount of money every year for those kind of projects that would make those right turn lanes, left turn lanes, to increase the flow of traffic. Thank you.
I would agree with most of what they've said. Heart, it's not a bad idea, though, that we have congestion problems. That shows that we're growing as a city, but also it gives us pause to slow down and check out some of our local businesses. That way, you have an opportunity to see the new business that may have popped up, and that you will be able to go in and spend your dollars in. So for me, not all red lights are a bad thing. As a small business owner, for me, I think it's a great thing. It does, it gives us pause, it slows us down a little bit, but it gives us opportunity to look around our city, to see what it is that we have, to see where improvements may be needed, and to be able to support that local business. Those things to me are important. But we do need to have traffic studies done. To be able to give a right turn signal, a right lane is something that is truly needed. Thank you.
The question is, how will you improve infrastructure and transportation, specifically with regard to traffic congestion?
As I stated in my introduction, one of the things I talked about, and I'm going to beat this one to death, is our comprehensive plan. In our comprehensive plan, we do traffic impact analyses. So over the next 18 or 24 months, we'll be engaging people like you from our community to help us with our comprehensive plan. We'll talk about where we want to put our parks, where we want to put our trails, what we want to zone in certain areas. And so all of that together will come together as a network to determine what type of impact we're going to have on our traffic. So our comprehensive plan is the key.
I feel we should spread the development more in areas that is not in neighborhoods. We have various lands that we could put development in that wouldn't cause a traffic jam in the neighborhood. And I'm just devastated at 67 and Joe Wilson when they build that Fuel City. It's going to be a traffic jam every day. And my heart bleeds for those community people that live over there. They have one way in and one way out, and it's going to be devastating for them. So let's put our development in areas that won't infringe on our neighborhoods. So I thank you.
I get to be the last to get to hear everybody else's answers. But yeah, studies are really important. I think we do need to start out with studies. Study the traffic flow. Where is the biggest congestion? I think 67, once it's completed, will give us a lot of relief, because if you've seen some of the plans and the things that they're changing, it's going to benefit this city. The next thing I think I would like to implement would be make a plan. We're going to plan not only for today's traffic, we need to plan for tomorrow's traffic. Because I told you I want Duncanville to Cedar. I want them coming in here to spend their money, but they're not going to come if it takes them too long to get somewhere. So I think a committee of not only just engineers, but citizens that live here, that drive these streets every day, let's come together and make a plan. What's bugging you? What area of the city that is the traffic really irritant? And let's go ahead and make a plan that we can implement. I think that's the best way to go about this.
Okay, the question is, how can city council members promote diversity in the city, government, and employment? How can they promote MWBE in other ways than they already do? Okay, repeat the question. Sure. How can a city council member promote diversity in city government and employment? How can they promote MWBE in other ways than they already do?
Well, great question. We have room for improvement in this area. As a community, we need to look at where we're lacking as far as inclusion and diversity. For a title of MWBE, that's something that people work very, very hard for. It is a long process and not one to be taken lightly. What I would do is to meet with individuals that are business owners, that are leaders in our community, that want to have business here in our city, to meet with them to find out what it is that they can do in order to help to improve us as a community, and do everything that I can to make sure that their name and their business is getting out. And it will take all of us in order to get that done.
Yeah, so I'm very much so aware that our existing council members are already in the process of doing that right now, amen? And so they are in the process of developing particular plans for WMBE already, and having specific goals for each category. So if elected, I'll get a chance to take part of that, but I know they are already in the process of doing that and addressing that, to be responsive to being diverse and being more inclusive. So I will just participate and respond to a process that's already underway right now. Thank you.
I would promote diversity in our community by meeting with our community. And I think one of the key messages is communication. How do we communicate? How do we make people aware of all of the benefits that are available here in Cedar Hill, the employment opportunities that are available in Cedar Hill? It's how we communicate this information. The days of putting employment opportunities in newspapers has passed. So we have to react with the times and be proactive in how we address and find groups of individuals, or just put employment out there. We have an existing high school base that we definitely need to go to for those individuals who may not want to go to college. We need to farm that base and see it, because we have a diverse educational community, And if we pull from there, that will solve our diversity needs. Thank you.
I think communicating with the communities and as a city councilman, I would definitely go out into the communities instead of having them always come to us and explain to them, there are opportunities for anybody to serve on boards and commissions, anybody to run for city council. I want to include our young adults because they're the ones that are growing population here in Cedar Hill. I want to encourage them to join the boards and commissions. I want to encourage them to run for city offices. Thank you.
Okay, this city is very diverse. In this city, I'm a minority. But here's the deal. It's communication, it's building relationships. I do this already by serving on the neighborhood advisory board. I've gone out to town halls and talked to people. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what your socioeconomic status is. I want you to be part of this city. And I go to the city council workshops and I try to help recruit people to different boards. And what board is interesting to you? What board? So it doesn't matter what, across the board, when I look at you, I see a human being. And I think I would promote communication, I would promote building relationships, because that's where it's at. Doesn't matter where you live, doesn't matter what you do for work, it's relationships that matter. That's what I would do.
As a city council member, I will be very watchful for the MWBE. The committee that's hiring, I would be the watchful eye to make sure that contracts are given to minority businesses, women businesses. I won't just say I support it, I will be that watchful eye to make sure that contracts are given to the WBE. Okay? So we say, and I want to admonish the board for having a meeting, training on Tuesday night for the MWBE. So I would be that watchful eye. You just can't tell me that you have the committee and don't hire. Thank you.
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Question is, how can a city council member promote diversity in city government and employment? How can they promote MWBE in ways other than they already do?
You know, I like this question because my wife just recently opened a daycare at the Heritage House in High Point, and she's black, and she's a woman, and so one of the things that we found when we're trying to go through the process is really her understanding the difference between the CEO and the CUP and the LRC and the DYC. I just made that up. But I think what we ought to do is make sure that people who want to do business in our city understand the difference between these terms and what those processes are to give them a more streamlined approach to doing business in our city. Break down those barriers and educate people wanting to do business in our city.
Trying to keep an eye on the time. It looks like we're going to go over, as it is 8:29 right now. So We will continue to ask questions quickly and try to get through them as quickly as possible, and I still want to hear the mayor's opportunity. Right?
Reduce the timeline.
Well, we still have two more people that have their individual time allotment. What we can do is we can give each individual the 1 minute and then a 30-second follow-up if you'd like to do that. But I don't want to I don't want anybody to have an unfair advantage. All right, ready?
What's the question?
Question is, what makes you uniquely qualified to serve?
I feel like I'm uniquely qualified to serve because of my 32 years of experience as in city management profession, 15 years as city manager of Cedar Hill, managing an $85 to $90 million operation for 15 years, and I believe I did it well. They thought so well of me, they named a building after me. So I think I'm uniquely qualified to do that. And I will say this, and I'm very confident saying there's no candidate, there's no more about city operations than I do. I spent 15 years in this, in doing it in great detail. And plus, I'm here tonight, and this might sound crazy, but the only reason why I'm running, because an internal voice told me to run. I believe that was God spoke to me and told me to run. So that's why I feel like I'm uniquely qualified, because I got the direction from up above. Thank you.
I'm uniquely qualified to run because I love Cedar Hill. It's been my passion and my pleasure to serve you as a servant leader, and I will continue regardless of the outcome of this election. I've been serving in the dark, in the light, in the sun, and it's been my honor because I love being here in Cedar Hill. And I think that makes me uniquely positioned to be a servant leader and here for you. It's just my desire. I love where I live. I believe all of us can live anywhere, but we choose to live here in Cedar Hill because of, I look out here and I see a plethora of faces and diversity and ages, and I really enjoy that, and I want to keep it this way. And I just want to be a good steward of this and be a servant leader for you. Thank you.
And what makes me uniquely qualified is I'm already a civil servant. I serve the city of Dallas every day, the citizens of Dallas every day. I go into work, I see their needs, I address their needs. I'm always standing up for what's got to be done. But now I want to shift that over to Cedar Hill. I've been serving Dallas for 13 years, and I think it's time for me to start serving Cedar Hill. I know how to create those relationships. I've had citizens come to me and say, "Where are you at? Where did you go?" I still have citizens call me up, even though I've been moved out of the district for years. They call me to ask me, "Can you solve this issue for me?" Or "Can you find somebody who can solve this issue for me?" I like building relationships with citizens.
I think I have already told you what makes me uniquely qualified in my introduction. I love God, I love people, I love the city. I'm committed to this city. I've been here for 18 years. I'm committed to its people. That's what makes me uniquely qualified. And in fact, somebody asked me this question when I was block walking. What gives you the right? What makes you think you can do this? Number one, I love this city and I love its people. We're better together, and that's why I want to run.
Why am I running? I am running because I see the need of Cedar Hill to have someone who would listen, who would stand up for the voice of the people and not just the developmental people. I'm running because I've worked with communities over 42 years. I've been a precinct chair for 42 years. I've worked in the Dallas area. I've worked in my community. I've served on many boards that entails the lives of people. I am a listener. I would go down and fight for what I believe and what you tell me to fight for. I will be your voice. So I feel that I am the candidate that would listen and do the will of the people.
Can you read the rest?
What makes you uniquely qualified to serve?
I've lived in Cedar Hill for 16 years, been married 22 years, have a 26-year-old daughter, been a mechanical engineer for 22 years, been an MBA for 20 years. I've been on the Planning and Zoning Committee for 2 years. I've been an awesome guy for 46 years. I love God, I love my city, I love my wife, and I love for you to vote for me on May 4th.
What makes me uniquely qualified for this position? Well, one, I'm a child of God. Last year, I ran for election, and I had a situation that sent me to a place that I thought I would never be standing in front of you for today. I was diagnosed with a rare form of cancer. But what it did is instead of it pulling me down and making me feel sorry for myself, it gave me the energy, the strength, the courage, the determination to continue to do the will for you. I have worked on your behalf for over 20 years, serving in the school district. I want to be able to serve you at the city level to do the same or even more. I am ready, determined, and willing to serve on your behalf and to be your voice downtown.
And the last question should be a very quick one. Can you please specifically tell us what Cedar Hill boards and commissions you have served on?
I have served on the Beautification and Environmental Sustainability Board. I'm the chairman of that board. That board came into existence 5 years ago, and it's been an honor to serve on that board. And I was selected as the chairman of the 2017 Bond Committee, and that's the committee that secured the funding for all of our new projects without an increase to your tax rate. And these are going to be things that are going to enhance the quality of life here in Cedar Hill. Thank you.
I haven't served on any boards or commissions, but that doesn't mean I don't know how to serve you guys. I've been doing it for 13 years. Now I want to do it for Cedar Hill.
Okay, I think I answered this question already in my introduction, but here we go again. I've served for 6 years on the Neighborhood Advisory Board because that's where my passion is. My passion is for people, my passion is for neighborhoods. And this last year I've had the pleasure and the distinct honor to serve as their chairman and spearheading a lot of interesting, neat ideas, things for senior citizens, and also helping organize crime watch groups. So I've been there for 6 years.
I have applied for many positions to serve on boards. I'm like Shirley Chisholm. When you don't have a seat at the table, you bring your own chair. So that's what I've had to do, bring my own chair to speak for the people of this city. So no, I have not been fortunate enough to serve on boards, but I have been a voice for the people.
You know, I can repeat the question. I'm Michael Lewis, and I've served on the Planning and Zoning Commission for 2 years. And you guys know that old saying, a failure to plan is a everything we do in this city hinges on how we plan it. If we have a good plan, our economic development is strong, our infrastructure is strong, our public safety is strong. Everything we do hinges on how well we plan. And that's what I want to continue to do, even as a council member, focus on planning, planning, planning. And we'll have an awesome city with your input.
I have enjoyed serving for the last 10 years on the Community Development Board. Before that, I've served on various commissions and boards throughout the city. As it relates to the strategic planning, for the education side, I've served in many capacities. I was a part of the beginning of the Education Foundation. I've served on the school board. I've served in many capacities for this city. I've worked at the chamber level in order to increase our patrons and our business owners to make sure that they are part of our fabric of our community. I will continue to serve you in any capacity that I feel will bring the betterment of our community, and as we do it together. Thank you.
And so as city manager for 15 years, every board and commission, as city manager, I was responsible for assigning staff to support those boards. So we assigned people to support the Economic Development Corporation, the Community Development Corporation, the Planning and Zoning Commission. There's Rod Tyler. He was assigned staff to the Planning and Zoning Commission. So as city manager, my job was to assign people to support every board and commission that we have in the city. And I'm very, very familiar with not just one or two, but every board and commission in the city, because I was responsible for making sure those boards were successful. Thank you.